Welcome to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
Hi, everybody. I don't know where I went, but here I am. I am spiritual medium and psychotherapist and author Kellee White, and this is Ask Me Anything. And so today is December 11th, 2025. Let me say hi to a few people, and then we'll go through some astrology, and then we'll talk about our subject tonight, which would be coincidences and all kinds of things like that, and synchronicities. And then I'll answer as many questions as possible. But before I do anything, I thought, you know what, since we're going to be talking about signs and synchronicities, what better way to start the night with a card for everybody. So I'm going to pull this from the Angel Number Oracle, because I thought that would be fun. This will be for everybody. And let's just see. I mean, listen, we're coming, it's a 9 year. We're coming to the end. It's been a heck of a few weeks. Heck of a week, heck of a few weeks. So let's just go with this card right here. And what it is. 427, authenticity. So I think all of us have to be our authentic selves, especially when we get into the new year, being really authentic, getting down to this year, releasing all of our old things that we don't need to carry with us into 2026. So authenticity, 427. Let's remember that. Authenticity. And if your birthday is April 27th, that is a big shout out message for you. So let me say hi to a few people. Hi, Melissa. She says, is it true that in the concept of the language of signs and synchronicities, viewing them as messages from nature or the universe that guide humans back to alignment or a deeper purpose? Yes, that is true. That is very true. Jennifer, hi, Jennifer Yellington. She says, Kellee, what a sweet occurrence happened with a baby monarch butterfly, and it lightly landed on my daughter's jacket and stayed quite a few moments. She was honored. What message was clearly intended for her? Well, for sure, butterflies will be her totem. Definitely keep butterflies around her, because butterflies represent great transformation, great change, spirituality. And so that's lovely that happened, honey. That's a lovely, lovely thing. That butterfly knew that your daughter is very special. I love that. Hi, Sherry Craft. She says, Kellee, I'm so happy you chose this topic. I get big signs like owls in the garden. I'm so jealous. I think so great. Every day I'm out there looking, and I know that they come out at night, but it's too cold for me to go out at night and hunt for owls. Although I'd like to. I get big signs like owls in the garden, and little ones like finding pearls everywhere where I put my jewelry, finding a way over a year ago. Wow, Sherry, that's amazing. Hi, Dee from Chicago. She says, so ironic how I heard not one, but 2 owls hooting just a few hours ago in tonight's topic. Hope you're feeling well, Kellee, and staying warm. Love from Chicago. So sweet. Yes, I'm feeling better. I have shingles. And I tell you what, it's you do you, but I wish I had the vaccine. I wish I had. But I've learned a lot about pain. I've learned a lot about it. So it has been quite a thing. And it is very cold here where I live on the farm in Wisconsin. It's really cold. Oh my gosh. And then Sherry says, Kellee, I've seen all these numbers, 222, 333, 555, 444, and 999. And she says, not just on clocks, but she's seen them all around. And so, again, we're going to talk about the universe giving us signs, and we'll talk about that today. And Sherry says, I'm grateful for the sun. Oh, I bet, because I know you guys got pounded with rain. Hi, Jean. She says, I'm very excited for tonight's topic, as I am experiencing signs and synchronicities that come when we are in alignment. That is very true, Jean. By the way, she says, it's lemon season, my favorite season, with my favorite lemons from Jean. So can't wait, Jean. Hi, Michelle. How are you? She says, the energies seem extremely wonky this week. Boy, do they ever. They do. Sending love and healing to you and Charlotte. Our dog Charlotte had been, and this is a message for you, Michelle. Excuse me. Our dog Charlotte had been first they thought she had bone cancer, and now they think it's lymphoma. So we're kind of dealing with that. We're not sure. She had a special test today, so hopefully we will find out what is going on with her. Jean says, how can we most align ourselves with synchronicities? So I'm going to talk about that, Jean. But the real answer to that is just be aware, be aware, be aware. And that's once you start becoming aware, you start aligning yourself. And you're so aware, Jean. Hi, Renee. She says, beautiful evening wishes, Kellee. Thank you. Hi, Leslie. Much love and energy to you and your family. And Sasha, how are you, Sasha? Hello and thank you. I am truly grateful and excited for tonight's message. Oh, that's great. Hi, Sweet Cherry. Hi, Sarah Stone. Hi, everybody. So let me, what Stacy says, we just got our new snowblower today, just in time for tomorrow. Oh my God, Stacy, we have one of those too. That is hilarious. Something that I never knew what a snowblower was, and now I do. Hi, Laura Crum. She says, right before the last two ice storms, at least 50 birds foraged at my deck eating my seeds. It seems that they should be the weather forecasters, right? I couldn't agree more, as they correct each other each time they're correct. Praying for Charlotte. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So let's go talk about, first of all, let me do the astrology. Let's just talk about a couple of things that are going on right now. I think it's really important. And I do Vedic astrology, which is where the planets are exactly. And right now, and on December 10th, so if you're listening to this, today is December 11th, but yesterday on December 10th, Neptune, the planet Neptune, went direct. So it was retrograde, and it's stationed to turn direct. And it's in Pisces. It's actually at 5 degrees of Pisces. So Neptune is an interesting planet. It's the one of delusion and confusion for sure. And so when a planet is stationing, the day it stations, as it goes from retrograde to direct or direct to retrograde, that moment, that day that it stations, it gets very, very powerful. And in this case, Neptune in Pisces will bring in lots of water action, a lot of floods. So a lot of water. And I noticed that in the Pacific Northwest, they have severe flooding. And we have all the snow that's coming through. So that is Neptune stationing and then going direct in Pisces. Because on July 4th, when it changed directions in Pisces, it was going retrograde on July 4th. And that's where, I think it was in Texas, where they had the major flooding, and a lot of people died from that. A lot of children died from that during that flood. So it's a very important time period with Neptune right now to watch the floods and watch the snow and all that. It's a lot. I think it's going to bring an awful lot. So we'll be looking at that. And then on December 15th, all the way, so if you were born on December 15th to January 14th, in Vedic astrology, the sun moves into Sagittarius. And Sagittarius speaks their truth, right? They speak their truth and they stand up for their beliefs. So I feel that, as we go towards the end of this year, and James and I are going to be doing a wonderful predictions show next Tuesday, and I'll be talking a lot about the energy of this month that leads us into 2026. I think it's very important, and the sun will be in Sagittarius as we leave this 9 year of 2025 into this new beginning year of 2026. The sun will be in Sagittarius, will foster a lot of truth, a lot of recognition, a lot of energy to stand up and to be authentic. If anything, Sagittarians are authentic AF, as they say, very authentic. So I think that's going to be very important. And I touched on this before, and I certainly will touch on it tonight, but I will really get into it next Tuesday with our prediction show. But on December 19th, we have this new moon, and it's in Sagittarius. So the sun will be in Sagittarius, the moon will be in Sagittarius, and it's in this nakshatra called Mula. And this new moon, it is so potent, and it will bring radical new beginnings. So things will end and things will begin. And what makes it so powerful also is that it comes with this interstellar comet, the 3-eye Atlas, and that's going to be as close to Earth. And I really believe that that's going to bring a lot of shift in consciousness. When that comes that close to Earth, I think we're going to have major shifts in consciousness going into 2026. And frankly, the year of 2026, I think it's going to just be like a banshee. I think it just starts off so fast. I think that this ending, during this particular time that we are in, and this is not an easy time. It's not an easy time. So, but I think it's a time that will shake us up to whenever we, be open to learn everything that you're here to learn, whether if it's forgiveness, whether it's being kind that James and I talked about the other day, whether it's compassion for what you've been through, if it's anything that you can leave behind and finish up and leave behind, because the universe is always asking us to move forward, take that next step. And that next step may be, I need to be in therapy. That may be the next step. Or I need to deal with, this from years ago, I need to deal with it. That could be the next step. I think it's really important always to look at where you are emotionally. And because sometimes, timing is everything. Maybe there was something that happened, some traumas or some issues in your family life or your personal life that you just never dealt with because you weren't there to do it. You just weren't in the right space, but you may be in that right space now. So it's something to consider, okay, is letting go of the things that you can let go of and then moving forward. So let's talk up today. We're going to talk about synchronicities. And I think this is really important here. That the phrase, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. How many times have I heard that one? It's, really, when we look at coincidence or synchronicities, those are really connections from a divine source. They always are a connection from a divine source, allowing us like maybe a deeper way to think or a deeper way to operate through when we see something like that. It starts to, to your point, Jean, you start paying attention to this and then things start to line up. When I started on this spiritual path, the first thing that happened to me, well, I had a lot of things happen. I all of a sudden started working with angels. I didn't even know they existed. They do. I started seeing these numbers over and over and over. It's 25 years ago. I started seeing, feathers everywhere, dimes everywhere. I remember I was playing with the universe once and I was driving and I said, I want to see, because I got really good at this. And I said, I want to see only black Mercedes. And I must have seen, I don't even know how many, 20, 30 in a row. Now, granted, I was in Beverly Hills. However, there was no other color. Every car was a black Mercedes. I'll never forget that. So you can have fun playing with this, but let's all remember something. Before we incarnate, before we're born, we plan many things that we're going to do on Earth, including we plan when we will begin to wake up. That means when will we have a shift in consciousness that we are more than just the body here having, an experience. We're a soul having a human experience. And when do we do that? In this lifetime, so many of us chose to have a shift in consciousness or to wake up, whatever the term you want to use. And so before that, what happens is you have to understand when you come to Earth, there is this free will. So they can't just jump in and say, Kellee, turn left, go here, do that. It doesn't work that way because we have free will. But we also know before we come in that we're going to receive messages and we're going to receive signs. And these signs are going to remind us that we are not alone. Believe me, it is not possible to be alone. But when we start to recognize or align with, Jean, to your point, with that there are messages from the universe, once you get that in your atmosphere and you start to really understand that, things start to move and shift. And it's really quite fun when you get to that place of knowing that the sign means something. So I think everything means something. I do. I'm a fanatic with that. Because once we start to recognize synchronicities, they're as guidance. We have to remember that. Put that in your hopper. They're guidance. It's not by chance. So a synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence. So think of it as like a homing beacon, if you will, that tells you you're on the right path. And it could be, sometimes we'll call it a nod from the universe, a nod from your guide. And Carl Jung believed that synchronicities mirror, so again, the synchronicities are mirroring deep psychological processes and carry messages the same way that dreams do. And I believe that too. So we get messages in our dreams. How great is that? We also get messages going outside. All of a sudden the radio comes on. I was working on, Janelle Campbell and I are doing our angel class tomorrow night. And it's at, it's 6 p.m., 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time. And I was working on it last night. And I thought, I was in the middle of it and I really needed some music. So I put on some music, and the song that came on was something, it was called like From Heaven Above. I was like, what? It wasn't, it just came up. And I thought that was so great. And I love those kind of reminders. I love those kind of signs, things. I think it's so important here. So spirit, including angels and spirit guides and our loved ones on the other side, they communicate through really subtle and symbolic signs. And sometimes it's patterns because they exist on a different vibrational frequency than our physical reality. So they can't speak directly to us in the same way another human can, which is sometimes people will say, well, why don't they just tell you this or why tell you that? And listen, I do the best I can as a medium, and you're listening with all your senses here, but it doesn't work that way. And so they can't, because they don't speak to us directly in the same way, and they cannot interfere with our free will. So what do? So they use signs and patterns. So because spirits don't have vocal cords or physical bodies to interact with our world directly, so there's a subtlety here. It's the subtlety. And once you start working with that subtle energy, just like with mediumship, it's very subtle energy. When you start becoming aware of the subtleness of it and appreciating the subtleness of it, the more connected you will feel to everything, to the one, to the oneness. The more connected you'll feel to the signs that you're getting, okay? Because these signs, they aim for comfort. They aim to validate. They do require our awareness and our openness to interpret. So let's say you have a negative person in your life, but you see this wonderful butterfly, and the butterfly is just magical with you and is flying over you. And then there's a negative person that says, oh, that doesn't mean anything. Do not listen to that person. That person's on a different track than you are. So you have to remember, keep your sphere of influence in a positive way, okay? So I think that when we get messages from the other side, I think we receive more messages the more open we are, So not being around too many negative people or any negative people, frankly. With my shingles now, I can't take negativity, period. That's what it's done for me. So also, vibrationally, when we receive these kind of subtle messages, they influence our environment by shifting energy, which is really amazing when the energy starts to shift here. So, and also it's a universal language because symbols and patterns often they transcend language barriers because they resonate on such a deeper subconscious level. So what are some of the ways that spirit communicates through signs? Well, synchronicity, meaningful coincidence. How does it work? Like you might be thinking about, let's say, a specific question or a deceased loved one, and then suddenly you hear a song on the radio with a relevant message. That could be their favorite band, Situation with my father after he had died. My mother needed some help. And I said to my dad, I You've got to be there. I was driving on the 405 freeway. I said, Dad, you have to be there for Mom. She really needs some help. They've been divorced for like 50 years. But I was like, no, please, I need your help with this. And anyway, my radio went on, and I have Sirius radio, and it went on, and one of my dad's songs came on. My father was a musician, and his band, actually, the song was Windy, came on. And I could not believe it. And I was like, okay, Dad, great, I got it. You're going to be there to help. And boy, was he ever. So my dad was a musician, so he would often come through. He still often does come through with music. Has to be a certain kind of music because he was really fussy with his hearing with music. I guess I am too, though. Anyway, so that could work. Or you might randomly bump into somebody who reminds you of somebody. And here's another thing that happens, and I forget to talk about this, and James and I have talked about this before, but the soul's on the other side. Let's say you're walking down the street. This actually happened to me. I was getting my car washed, and I was sitting waiting for my car to get washed, and I looked up, and I couldn't believe who I saw. I saw my cousin who had died sitting there. Now, it was a man sitting there, but my cousin literally had projected his face onto this one. And I was so taken aback. I tried to get my phone out as fast as I could so I could get a picture to send it to his wife, who's my cousin. But I couldn't. I was so staring. And I must have turned one way, and I turned back, and it was just whoever the guy was. So what they can do is they can throw themselves on. It's only I've seen it happen twice to me, but when it happens, you don't forget it. So anyway, that's something. But let's say you're worried about making a decision, and then all of a sudden a friend might call you and say, I just met with somebody who deals with this. So there's no randomness in that. There's no such thing as randomness. So let's look at nature, because in nature we get a lot of symbols here. Animals, whether it's in a dream, whether you actually see them, they carry certain symbols. Like a butterfly, again, represents a lot of transformation, but also a butterfly can represent a loved one who's passed. A hawk might suggest, higher perspective or courage, or the male psychic, all kinds of things. So the other thing we find in nature are feathers. Often, I live on a farm, so I find a lot of feathers. Sometimes I'll get some really special feathers, and I'm like, whoa, thank you. And I always say thank you for them. I always say thank you. Feathers often are considered from a guide or from an angel, and angels exist. They exist. Some people have angel teams, actually, around them. We can also see look in the sky and look at clouds. And sometimes those cloud formations might be exactly what our loved one looked like. So make no mistake, these are messages from the universe. These are not accidents. And so always remember that. Another thing is, let's say the physical manifestations is you might all of a sudden start finding pennies or dimes with different have fun with it, different years on them to see. You also may get from the other side, an unusual smell. We've talked about that a lot too. But let's talk about repetitive patterns. So when you start seeing the 111 and 222 and the 333, that really puts us on a road for us to wake up. It's like we planted that in our memory before we incarnated. So this is a lifetime. On this timeline, this is when we're going to really wake up in consciousness and understand that there's no such thing as death. We're going to be very spiritual beings, and we're going to let go of all the nonsense that we have carried time and time again through many, many incarnations. And this is going to be the lifetime that we get rid of it. And how do we do that? And it's like where we discharge our karma. We get to a karma balance. How do we do that? Often it starts with seeing these numbers that people might think that are just random. They're not random. They're aligned to help you get you aligned, I should say, help you get you aligned with the spiritual road, spiritual path. They're here to remind you that you're a spiritual being here. So these repetitive numbers are really important, very, very important here. So also you might hear certain words or phrases like over a short period of time, they're trying to get your attention, whatever it happens to be. Also in dreams, now you might have symbolic dreams that pay attention because you're trying to wake yourself up. You're trying to get through things. Could be processed dreams, but the symbolism is really important when you start to become aware of yourself. It's very important. So, and visitation dreams, because they are the ones that will be feeling very vivid or very real or memorable. Very important. And again, hearing songs, different songs. Here's another thing that people do is they will hear a voice. Sometimes you might hear a voice in the middle of the night calling your name. Now, this used to happen to me a lot from the very beginning when all of this happened. And now I understand they were just trying to get my attention. Like, I'm not alone. You're not alone. It's not possible to be alone. It's changing your clairaudient too, getting your clairaudient going here. So I think that's really important. And you're working all of these synchronicities. And what that's all about is getting your intuition. So you start trusting your intuition and your inner knowledge. So it's more, you start to get that gut feeling or that sudden clear thought. That also is really important here when we're looking at signs from the universe. So, and how you recognize them is you have to be present and aware. So let's say a feather just floats right smack down in front of you, like this beautiful feather. If you sit there and go, that doesn't mean anything. Wrong. That's the wrong answer. You didn't pass. So you really want to be aware. You want to practice being mindful. Okay? Because some signs are really subtle. And you can miss them if you're not paying attention. I again pay attention probably too much. It's important, I think. I love to see, and I love to play with the universe, and I love to see what the messages are. Also, notice a repetition. So maybe an isolated incident, maybe a coincidence, but often there'll be reoccurring patterns, things that start to happen. Trust your gut feeling, because when a sign appears, you're going to have this intuition, this sense that this is more than just a coincidence. Totally it is. And it's this feeling that I'm talking about, it's really crucial for part of this communication that you're developing. So, and also look at the personal significance. The meaning of a sign is often highly personal. Let's say 444, which we talk a lot about angels, would mean angels, but let's say for somebody else, that might have been their mother's favorite number. Like that. Think like that. What is the significance of this? Or what is the emotion that comes up with this when you see something like this? So also, keep a journal if you can, documenting signs. Oh, I did that for a very long time. I loved it. And ask for clarity. If you're unsure about a sign, you can inwardly actually ask, or even outwardly say to your guides or your loved ones, can I have a clearer message? And you don't expect them to bonk you on the head with it, but you'd be surprised. And again, don't force it. Not everything is a sign, but sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. So I love looking for signs. I think signs are around for all of us to see all of the time here. So I think that's very important. So let me just say this too. I have a class on tomorrow with Janelle Campbell, and we are so excited. It's December 12th. In the United States, it's at 6 p.m. Central Time, and in Australia on December 13th, it's at 11 a.m. on that Saturday. And we are so excited because we're going to be having a conversation about angels, but Janelle's going to start us off with a meditation first and to get us aligned. And then we're going to be talking about our experience with angels, but also, I'm going to talk about certain angels, archangels, but then I'm going to go into Metatron and talk about the connection with the 8th chakra, because I think that's really important. And then Janelle's going to do an extraordinary and angel channeling for the energy of 2026. So I'm really excited about this. We did this last year and it was just a wonderful experience. Oh my gosh, people talked about that for a really long time. And then next week, James and I, on the 16th, we have our 2026 predictions. I'm so excited. And then the last 5 o'clock somewhere is December 19th. So anyway, go ahead and check out everything I have on my website. I got a lot of stuff there. So I've got a couple of questions, and then I'll take your questions too. So this question's from Deborah, and she said, I had a disturbing dream last night. My husband and my dog and I were driving down a back road, and the sky was lit up with 1,000 stars and all these different bright colors. We stopped at a location for something to eat, and there were other people there with their dogs. But when we got ready to leave, I looked around, and her dog wasn't there. She couldn't find him. And she said, ran out screaming, trying to find him. And she said, I was, she was screaming, so she couldn't scream. She was so shook up. She said, I'm curious if this dream could mean anything. Well, yeah, I think the dream holds a lot of things here. But in this dream, you were on a back road, and you're with your husband and your dog. And a back road always symbolizes taking something less conventional, maybe a slower path. Because in this path, in your dream, it's all lit up. Sounded incredible, actually. So also, back roads represent choices and your journey and your inner exploration. I think you are exploring so many things about yourself and so many things that had nothing to do with the dog. Dog's not going anywhere. But it would have left you alone with your husband to deal with a lot of things. And it would have also shaped the way you start to think. So I think this is it's like an unplanned journey that your soul's about ready to go on, maybe reflecting on your life. So it's an excellent, excellent dream. Excellent dream. I love to do dream work. I love it. So Carlene Reese, she says, Kellee, during the Power of 10 last Saturday, and let me just say thank you for everybody that participated. It was really extraordinary. I love doing that work, and it was extraordinary. But what was so amazing is this group had so many things in common. I don't know how do it do this? I have no idea how Spirit does this. But anyway, she says on Saturday, my mother issues. So let me just say this for people that were not there. There were a lot of people in this group with mother issues. A lot of mother issues here. And she said, on Saturday, my mother issue was brought up, which everybody that had a mother issue, it seemed to come up. And she said, and a few days before the session, I told the universe that I was going to try to work on forgiveness for the mother. Then after the session we had, she said, I was looking through Facebook and someone was giving away books called The Shadow Work Journal. I was like, okay, thank you, Spirit. And then on Sunday evening, she said she had a dream and she told herself she was going to look up the significance of this. And I mean, it's really funny because in this one dream, she had a dream about a raccoon, and that has to do with getting rid of trash from the past. So, I mean, it really is. Yeah, that was definitely a good thing there for you. So let's get you an angel number here. I love that, Carlene. That's a good one. Very, very good one here. Let's get you a card, Carlene, from Angels. 2134, achievement. Well, you definitely achieved something with that. Listen, if you've had a mother wound, father wound, a lot of people have. A lot of people. Time to probably look at it. Look at it if you can. Thank you, Gina. I appreciate that. Hi, Ann Rogers. Hi there. So Pammy says, I've been seeing a lot of triple numbers, 333, 444. It does start that way, Pammy. That's a good thing. So 333 are the masters. 444 tend to be angels. And this is a great thing. So Linda says, Kellee, can I get a card from our dog, Belle, who transitioned recently? We miss her every day. Oh, Linda, I've got chills. Yes, you can. There's a lot of that going around, unfortunately. You know, my vet, we couldn't get our dog in to see the vet soon enough for the biopsy. And she said to me, I'm going to be honest with you, Kellee. She does not know what I do, who I am, nothing about that. She said, there are a lot of sick dogs right now. Like more, I said, more than usual? She said, yeah, more than usual. So let's get you a card from Belle. I love that name, Linda. As a soul, I can be several places at once. She is quite dynamic. I get the sense that she's going to help a lot of creatures, big and small here. Ooh, oh, I got chills. So she's so around you. Loves you guys. Oh my gosh. Okay. You see, Maura says, I think possibly I'm releasing something, and it all started with a spider that freaked me out this morning, and the rest of the day I did not feel myself. Well, then that would mean I'm so glad you said this. Spiders are all about looking at actually something tends to be something beautiful. But I understand the fear of spiders. It flips me out too. But it probably you are starting to release something that you don't need to hold on to any longer. So because you didn't feel like yourself. So ask yourself, what are you feeling now, honey? What are you feeling now? It's very important. What are you feeling now? Are you feeling safe? Are you feeling unsettled? A lot of people go through a lot of fear. So what else is under that fear there? That's what I'd be looking at. Hi, Angel Light. Hello from Minnesota. Hi, Ardelia. How are you, honey, from South Australia? I hope you can take that angel class with us if you're in Australia. Let's get you a card here. Whoops, got the wrong deck. Sorry about that. I was going to do this one. 525, reshape. 525, reshape. Time to reshape your life there. Time to reset. Oh, thank you, Mara. I really appreciate that. Renee says, Kelly, would it be a type of synchronicity if we have the same dream experience with someone? Oh, you bet. Both being able to remember it all? Yes. And let me tell you, Renee, that is very, very rare, but it does happen. And if that happens, I've got chills. That's a major deal. If that would mean you're both, that's a planned event. I like it. The way I view it, you would both be having similar dreams or the same dream even. That happened to me one time 100 years ago. And I remember just being shocked by it, actually. So what an amazing experience. Hi, Julianne Siegel. I hope you're feeling better, Julianne. Let's get you a card, Julianne. Here we go for you. 666. Reflect. Time to reflect. Well, I think you've been doing a lot of reflecting. I think you probably have. Oh my gosh. We're teaching a class in February. We're so excited about the feng shui class with Julianne. I'm so excited. Love to teach with her. Isabel says, Kelly, glad you're feeling better. I can really use a message right now. You bet, honey. Let's get you a message here. Ooh. This is a great message. 222, alignment, which is what we're talking about. You're not alone, Isabella. So pay attention to a lot of things that are behind the scenes helping you forward. We do have so much help from the other side. You just don't think we do, but we do. Phyllis from Laguna. Hi, Phyllis. Just because you're from Laguna, I'm going to give you a card. Here we go. Ooh, 1212. Choices. I love Laguna. I used to visit James all the time when he lived in Laguna. And I was in a development circle with James 100 years ago, but I was in a development circle with him. So that was a good one. Marie Crane says, Kelly, I just came out of the hospital after 3 hospital visits. Marie, let's get you a card. I'm sorry. Being in the hospital is a drag. Here we go. Ooh, 555. Time for change. And guess what, everybody? It's a butterfly. So big change then, Marie. This is a good thing. So Marilyn says that she sees the number 913. So let's take that apart. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's a 4, but this is presented in 9 is completion, 1 is new beginning, and 3 is creativity. So is your birthday 913 by any chance? Even if it isn't, it doesn't matter. But 913 brings a lot to the table, an ending, a beginning, and a creative time period. I bet you this year for you, Marilyn, as we walk into 2026, is going to be a very good year because it's literally that's what it means. It's the ending, it's the beginning, and January 1st, 2026 is a 111 or a 3. So that's good for you. That is really good for you. Ardelia says, Kelly, my emotions are all over the place in the last few days. I want to tell you, Ardelia, you're in good company. So many. This is such a period of great upheaval with emotions, people that can't contain their emotions. And it's a time period that we're in. It's a time period, a lot of blowing up, a lot of bad behaviors, and try to go inward. Try to give yourself a lot of love, honey, a lot of love. I've been watching a Hallmark movie. It's where I have a Hallmark problem, but it's very calming for me. I kind of enjoy it. So, oh, thank you for your prayers for Gabriel, for Charlotte. I appreciate that. Okay, Lori Sherbrooke says, Kelly, how cold and snowing Fargo, North Dakota, 20 below temperatures? That's getting kind of old. Okay, so I'm complaining because I think this weekend is going to be like, I don't know, under 10, but not minus 10. I think like, I don't know, 10 degrees, something like that. Yeah, you're going to get a card for sure, Lori. Let's get you a card. Here we go. 44. Stability. Well, you gotta be hardy stock to be at 20 below. You know, I remember I was so proud of myself in 2019. It was January of 2020. It was before any of this, before what we all went through. And I had joined this gym, and it was minus 17 out. I'm from LA, so minus 17, it made no sense. But I was determined to go work out with my trainer. And I took a picture of this minus 17 because I was so determined, and I did. I went, I got out, I wore a coat, I went out. And anyway, then 2020 hit, and I never went back again. But I did it. I was so proud of myself that I did that. Yeah, Ann Rogers, I've heard that too. A lot of pets getting different types of cancer, and that's what we're dealing with our Charlotte. We have no idea what's going on with it. Just hope we have some answers soon. And I appreciate all the love and appreciate very much. Hi, Deb Patching. How are you, my friend? Oh, you're so sweet. I am feeling better, Deb. I am feeling better. A lot better than I was. That is for sure. But I tell you, this shingles thing, you're just feeling fine. Then all of a sudden, like, whew, how did that happen? How did that happen? Oh, thanks, Lynn. I appreciate it. Yes, and nature has a lot of signs to share. And in fact, pay attention to all signs. So today, this morning, was it this morning or was it last night? This morning, I finally started seeing red cardinals out here. Had not seen any for some period. And I finally got to see some. And, I just love them. And I love them against the backdrop of the snow. There's nothing quite like that. It is so beautiful. So Kim Ann says, if those birds were dark, they were probably European starlings, and they are around a lot in the winter. It's very true. And they really hit our bird feeders very hard. It's amazing, Kim Ann, how often we're out there, well, both of us, Don and me both, trying to fill these feeders. It's amazing. Hi, Patty. Susie says, my dear Kelly, my birthday's coming on December 14th. What's in store for me? Good things, I hope. I live in the Pacific Northwest. Wet. Yeah. First of all, you're going to get a card. I've got chills. And Susie, I think it's going to be a very good year for you. December 14th of this year going forward, because your birthday is right at that. A lot of changes are happening. A lot of things moving forward for you. So I think it's going to be a good year, Susie. Let's get you a card from the angels. It's a good one. 272. Confidence. So get your confidence up, Susie. I think this is a very good card here. Hi, Lois. I'm a huge Sagittarius, Maura. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think that is a good one. Did I just give you a card, Maura? I can't remember, but let's see. 69, accountability. Have accountability. So Jen Gurn says, Kelly, hello. Last week you pulled a card for my husband saying he sends signs through nature. All summer, a rabbit has been in our yard, and our dog Ruby catches it. Never an issue until this year. Coincidence? You're right. No, that's definitely a message there. Wow. So, and your dog Ruby caught the rabbit. Wow, that is something. I'm looking forward to seeing you when I see you tomorrow, I think, Jen. I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure we'll have lots of messages for you tomorrow, for sure. Julianne says, I can't believe it's the end of 2025. It seems like we were just doing 2026 prediction. It does seem like we were just doing predictions for 2025. And yeah, and now it's going to be 2026. And I will tell you this, everybody, this year, because it is the year in Chinese New Year of the fire horse, this is going to go faster than any year we have had. This is going to just speed by. So that's why you want to work on your stuff, work on whatever it is that you need to let go of. I don't care if you're angry at a sibling or any of that. Not that I'm just projecting that out. But let's say you were. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Don't get on the roller coaster. Just observe the roller coaster of crazy. Just observe it. Don't get on it. Okay. So Laura says, yes, starlings, doves, and cardinals all hit by feeders a few hours before each storm. Right, Laura? It's the same here. That is so true. Hi, Cheryl. Ann Rogers says, I think we all need to love ourselves more deeply. Very true. And get to know the parts of you that got buried because of a painful experience and trauma. Absolutely, Ann Rogers. That's what I was saying earlier. I got chills. Thanks for saying that, because we push a lot down. We repress a lot. Most of us come from repressed people. So what did we learn? We learned not to talk and to repress. But what I'm saying now is this timeline is about dealing with yourself, if you can, dealing with everything that goes on or went on or whatever, letting go of what you can. I mean, when we start to see these signs, they're waking us up to something. I believe that they're waking us up to become a lot more conscious. And as I was saying, this year of 2026, it's going to go like gangbusters. So take this time right now to, see what messages can you get for yourself? Can you release certain things? Can you have a forgiveness? I think your guides will help you tremendously on this road if you can get there. I believe that guides, that's what they want us to do. Like, get to that place of, forgiveness, kindness, acceptance, those kind of things. And then to take the next step to move on. But the next step to move on might be therapy, or it might be a new job, or it may be the end of a relationship, or it may be, that might be the next step. Again, Earth is the most challenging school. So give yourself some credit and a pat on the back for showing up to Earth at this time. And everybody is needed here. And everybody's needed here to do what they can to take care of themselves, to heal themselves, and then to help heal others. I think that's going to be very, very important. Yes, my glasses match my stuff. I have to wear this because I have to wear scarves because I have shingles on my neck. That's right. I'm telling you. It's the damnedest thing ever. Okay. Amber Lily says, well, hi, Nicole. And hi, Lorena. Amber Lily says, when my mom passed in December of 2021, I started seeing the number 11, and then 711, and then 1111, or 11 after the hour anytime I looked at it. I still see it quite a bit. I remember correctly. It means I'm on the right path. You're definitely on the right path. And, I've got chills. And it was your mom. It's right after your mom passed when you probably started waking up, in some different level here. Let's get you a card here. Ooh, remember me by the happy memories we created. Look at that. Oh my God, it's a mother with a child. There you go. That's a good one, Amber. That's really a good one for you. Hi, Kelly Moncor. How are you? Okay, good. Okay, Wendy said, hi, Wendy. She says, Kelly, I had a dream the other night about horses. Ooh, there were hundreds of them. Some were walking and some were running. Also, could I have an angel card for my beautiful daughter? Yes, I'm going to get you a card from your beautiful daughter. But the horses are healing. Horses are healers. Okay? Right out of the bat, they're healers. And you had hundreds of them. And so you think of it this way: you've got a lot of energy around you of healing. A lot of healing here. Some were walking, some were running. Oh, Wendy, I've got chills. Like, okay, I'm going to get a card from your daughter. I got to do this. There is no time where I am. Time is only on the earth. So when you're thinking about her, she's always, always there with you. And I bet you she has something to do with all these horses. Horses are healings. Judy says, I always see numbers and coins. Ooh. Lois Growage, she says, Kellee, I've been seeing 1111 and 333 a lot this week. My birthday is next week on the 17th. I'm feeling some big changes are happening and my awakening has happened. Oh, for sure. Okay, we're going to get you a card, but yes. So and December 17th is an Ace of Clubs. Ace of Clubs loves to learn. They come to Earth to learn. They do not have a straight path. They have a path that goes this way, this way, this way, a very different path. But you can see in 1111, which is a new beginning. And often with that, we will see things like 333, the Ascended Masters. And the Ascended Masters are really wonderful because when they start working with us, might be very subtle, very subtle. You will start receiving maybe little downloads of thoughts that are wisdom thoughts. That's what the 333, the Ascended Masters are wisdom. And so it primes you up for wisdom. And wisdom thoughts change our trajectory because it lifts our vibration. When we start to have wisdom thoughts, it lifts our vibration. If you think like that. So it's very important here. So Jean says, Kellee, you mentioned that we planned for our awakening. We sure did. I think I'm feeling this now. Lots of synchronicity and knowings. Thanks for all your support and droplets from God. Oh, you're so welcome, Jean. But it is, we planned for it. And in this lifetime, there's just more energy driven for awakening in this particular life, in this particular timeline. And it's more growth, accelerated growth. And that's why we all came during this time, even though listen, I think all time on Earth is intense. And I think I had to think really long and hard. Did I really want to jump into this? And I did. So anyway, having said that, hi, Evie Freedy. How are you? Hi, good to see you. Christy, Earth, Wind, and Fire. I love it. Kellee, I've been going through a really rough patch right now with making a big decision with a relationship. I've noticed angel numbers constantly, and each time I thank them, I know that they are with me. Christy, they are. We've all had to make we've all been down a rough path, okay? Everybody has. By the time you get to a little bit of age on you, often before, there's going to be a rough patch. But it's all about learning. So what have you learned from the relationship? What is it that you can let go of? What is it? Why are you staying? Ask yourself the hard questions. You can do it, Christy. Let's get you an angel number. Ooh, here you go, honey. Boom. 55, shift. 55 means to change. If we start seeing 555s, I used to dread when I would see 555s because I was like, oh, God, I don't need any more change already. But it all worked out. It all worked out. So don't even worry. Everything works out. Yes, Michelle King, you're absolutely right. Horses mean freedom. That would be the big message for the year of the horse next year. Right on. I can't believe I spaced on that. You're absolutely right, Michelle. They mean freedom. And that gal saw hundreds of them. That would be freedom, freedom, freedom for sure. Freedom and healing. But I do think that the fire horse brings a passion to it. I think that people are going to be on an accelerated time period this coming up year. And if you were born in 1966, you were all at a certain time, I think it's mid-February of 1966, for that year, you would be a fire horse. Fire horse is rare. It's a rare one. So Lorena says, that happened to me, thinking of my son. A song he loved came on, and then I stumbled upon this exact video. Thank you. Yes, that's how that happens. They love that. Oh, Kim, you sang Wendy in high school. Remember, that was a major hit. Yeah, that was a major hit. Leschel says, when I see someone drive a 1993 Ford Explorer Cayman Green, I know my spirit dad is around. That's the car I used to have. Oh, for sure. Let's talk about that for a second. Oh, that's so true. Whenever we would see, like my dad was a Porsche fanatic, but he had certain ones that he loved more. He had 129 cars in his life, documented. And so these special old Porsches from like 1957, 1958, whenever I see one, and I don't really see them around here where I live, But I would see them in Southern California. And I always think of my dad as soon as I would see one. Oh, I just loved it. Love it. Sherry says, I saw an angel cloud driving on the 101 for miles and miles. How great is that? And on the 101. And I appreciate that. Being the LA reference, I appreciate that. Melissa says, why does not explicitly state a belief in receiving specific signs? Well, I don't know about, it's your own belief of a sign. Okay, there you go. Amy says, I heard someone yell, but no one was around, and that does happen. Evie says, lately I've had some messages in my head. I can't remember some of the names, and I asked guides to let me know, and a few minutes later, I got the name. Ooh, and some names that I wouldn't have used to it. Another Spanish name came. So good for you. Oh, that's good. Noelle says, Kelly, I'm pedaling as you are talking, and 222 just hit my metrics. Oh, good for you. Good for you. So 222 is looking at duality. We can call it looking at partnership, relationships, that kind of thing. But to me, it's always a little deeper than that. To me, it's about duality, looking at duality. I think duality is really important. And Sherry says, I see hearts on the beach and when I'm in my kayak and the foam in the river. Isn't that great? I think that's fantastic when you do that. Judy says, I see a lot of races when I close my eyes. A lot of races. It's very quick and there's no talk. What do you mean? I see a lot of races. Races of what? I'm not sure, Judy, what that means. Oh, forced faces. Oh, like a race to the finish line? Faces. A lot of people, when they're about this place in their spirituality, right when they're starting to take a deeper dive, the first thing they see when they shut their eyes are different faces. Think of it this way. It's like a phase you're going through. The first one is the faces, and then after that it changes again. But that's one of the first signs, Judy. It's a good one. It's a very good one. Absolutely. And Evie says, I've had dreams such as flying and then disappearing in the air. Oh my God. And the places were always the same as my hometown. Well, that's a lot of freedom. Okay, Patty says, I've told you how my husband's in bad health, not eating much, but he won't let go because he's always worried about money. I told him I know I'll be paid back and to quit worrying. How do I help him? Well, let's give him a card. Sometimes they just worry. What can you do, Patty? Okay, that's all you can do. 202, persevere. Keep persevering with him. There you go. Laura Crum says, Kelly, if Metatron deals with duality, would he have a great influence on all our lives on Earth? Yes, Metatron has a great deal of influence on our life. And that's one of the things I will be talking about tomorrow, Laura, on the angel thing, on our angel class, because Metatron deals with Earth and heaven above. So he understands the duality better than any soul would, any soul. Susie, let me give you the last card of the day. Ooh, bravery, 717. Bravery. That's a very good bravery. Okay, so wait, this is funny. Robbie says, I was just thinking that I rarely, if ever, see repetitive numbers. And I looked and I saw a billboard with 2222222. Scooby-Doo saying, huh? Okay, that's very good. Melanie Dennison, I had a dream last night that I won $2,000 check. It was a green check. What does it mean? Green often has to do with two things, healing and the heart. So that is a great dream, Melanie. Oh my God. And Sherry says, thank you so much for the power of 10. Could you do a show on the mother issue? I will. Michelle, let's write that one down. We will do, we'll do a show on the mother issue for sure. I used to teach classes on that, but you know what, Sherry, I will do the mother issue. It's such a big one, mother issue. I'm making a note of that. All right, everybody. So, okay, Lisa, one more for you. Here we go. 1144, leveling up. Ooh, time to level up. That's a good thing. Okay, everybody. So if you can, join me tomorrow night, Friday, and we'll be doing the angel class. It's going to be fantastic with the best channeler. I'm telling you, Janelle is a fabulous channeler. And when she channels the angels, it is just extraordinary. You just hold on. You can find that at kelleewhite.com/events. And then my January calendar will be opened up probably in a couple of weeks, or probably in about a week or so. So anyway, well, I look forward to seeing everybody next Tuesday when James and I do our show on predictions. And then my final show of the year for me is next Thursday. So have a great weekend, everybody, and take good care of yourself. Stay warm. See you later.
You've been listening to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.